We find ourselves talking about the future a great deal on this show. It's probably one of the most visited topics. I think it's actually a really awesome time to be talking about the future. I think it's super interesting because we're at this crossroads of like everything. Like the world is crazier than it ever has been before. And like I'm just completely, I don't know anything about history. I'm just saying this, but I feel like it's probably one of the first times ever you could be like, guys, there could be a robot uprising next year. And like, it could happen. Like anything's on the table right now, it feels like, because we have AI, we have social media, we're watching the most horrific acts ever happen right next to like cats and ASMR videos. Like things are insane. That's the one thing we can all agree on. We don't know where we're coming from. We don't know where we're going. I think like people are probably meaner than they ever have been before and nicer at the same time. We can all agree though, things are crazy right now. And with that, I think there's so much on the table. I think like the window of how we can speak about the future is as wide open as it ever has been before, because I feel it feels like, at least, and this is where a lot of the conversations we have on this show come from, that we have utopia over here, dystopia over here, and we're like every single day. We're like just going crazy, looking at everything all at once, right? And that's actually the lens we're always coming at it on this show. If you click on any old episode of this show, and honestly, I'll go as far as saying if you click on any YouTube video right now about a topic like AI or like anything like that, maybe social media, culture, where things are going, politics, any of these topics, make your pick. You're going to get something akin to that. You're going to get either a guy being like, guys, 2026 is going to be the year we cure everything and utopia is achieved, or guys, by 2027, doomsday will be upon us. Like the amount of doomsday scenarios I've seen with AI is insane. And all of them scare me because I don't know anything about how this works. And to me, these all sound very realistic, I'll be honest. But I want to come here for a second and almost play devil's advocate to the idea of a future itself. That was a terrible way to phrase that. It makes it sound like I think we're all just going to be kaput tomorrow. That's not what I'm saying at all. I want to play devil's advocate to the idea of this crazy future scenario. We're always playing with the idea of a utopia, a dystopia, the best possible scenario, the worst possible scenario. I want to make a stance almost. I don't want to make a stance. I want to sit down. I want to sit down on a fence. I want to fence it for the next 5 minutes here, however long this ends up being. The future probably won't be that interesting, guys. I don't think it will be. Because similar to how it feels like we have utopia and dystopia here, and we're going like this every day, we'll probably land like here. Wanna know why? I think the reason this is gonna be happening is because let's say tomorrow, all the AIs start rising up and like doing something crazy. We get to Terminator, right? Which obviously is not very realistic right now. I think we're still a little bit off from Terminator, but Terminator starts tomorrow, right? And like everything's going down the drain, right? It'll probably get stopped before all of us are gone. Like it'll probably get stopped before the doomsday scenario happens, right? And obviously, I'm not trying to advocate here that I want 5% Terminator. I don't. I want 0% Terminator. I don't like how that movie ends with all the robots doing the robot thing. I don't know, I've only have seen the first one, but I'm not advocating that it's good that we get 5% of this. However, a lot of people are acting like we're either getting 0% or we're getting 100%. I think the more realistic scenario is that we will either A, not get this at all, and it won't come, because before it happens, somebody sees it and stops it, right? That's usually what happens. Like if you look at like anything they thought would kill us, like nuclear war, right? They didn't think that would kill us. They still do think it'll kill us. Every time though that we've gotten close to something like that happening, it's usually been stopped by some crazy little coincidence or something like that. Like I'm not gonna say I know enough about any of these technologies to bet what happens tomorrow, but I feel like I know enough about the way I've seen things happen throughout my life to bet on the fact that we're gonna keep going, because that's always been the constant, right? We've had setbacks. Maybe we'll even end up being in one of these doomsday scenarios, one of these, 100% dystopian scenarios, but we'll probably get out of it. I think the idea that like we're either, and I get where these ideas come from, because it either feels like we're at the end of the world or we're at the beginning of the utopia, right? I get where it comes from. It's hard for me to look at my social media feed that is as insane as it is, and look at all these new technologies, and then look at the amount of inequality in the world and come away from it being like, okay, this is all very normal and gonna keep going. But that's probably the most realistic scenario, right? And also, I want to put it this way too, the idea of utopia, right? I think I will always say, and this stance comes from zero logic and all just radical optimism, I think that utopia is much more likely than dystopia, because I think that that's the goal, right? Utopia is the goal. Dystopia is the one we're trying to prevent. Utopia is definitely the goal, right? So I always want to leave room saying that like utopia could happen. However, historically, they usually don't let people have things that nice. Right? Like this is me not coming at this with any sort of like historical reasoning, just like what have we seen happen in our lifetimes? Things have never gotten that good. Things have never gotten terrible. They've gotten slowly worse over the years, but it feels like, and once again, this is just me giving out vibes analysis, things get like a little bit worse, and then they're like, oh no, let's make them a little bit better, and then we kind of move forward with technology or whatever. And I don't think this is how it's going to happen forever, but I do think that's what the future is going to look like, at least the near future. If we're looking at like 100 years, I have no idea. I mean, like 100 years is crazy to think about, because imagine a guy in 1925, right? 100 years ago, they would not be able to comprehend anything. I don't think H.G. Wells released War of the Worlds yet. Like, I don't think the idea of like aliens was even as mainstream as it is. Like, they would look at our world as genuinely a completely different universe, right? So 100 years from now, it's probably very different. I'm talking about these scenarios that people are predicting 5 years out, 10 years out. I think it's probably going to be a lot more reasonable than we give it. I think there's still going to be problems. And I'll always be like, we should be working on that. Like, I'm never going to be one of those people that's like, my least favorite kind of guy is like the guy that goes, there are issues, but it is the way it is. I'm not saying the idea that the world's going to be just as okay as it is now is a good thing. I actually think that's kind of a bad thing, because something's got to give in one direction or another, right? But, and preferably the direction is getting a lot better, not getting worse. But the idea that things are going to get significantly worse, like a lot of people have the idea that like okay, we're going to enter some scenario where like all these rich people take over the world and like it ends up being the worst thing ever, or like we have like overlords again. Scary, realistic there. The fact that you can even put that out there and it's realistic should tell you enough about the problem we're in, right? I'm not saying at all that the fact that this is even on the table is a good thing. However, the idea that like people are going to take over and kill us all is a very bad idea, because they still want somebody to rule over, right? Like, they do. So I think it'll end up being okay in that scenario. And they can't rule over us too hard, because then there'd be an uprising. Like, that's why like kings did religion, and religion's not really going to work right now, right? Because like, I don't know, maybe robotheism. Have you guys seen that? The idea that like AI is going to come out as like our next god or whatever. I don't like that. That's crazy. Too far, guys. Too far. But I think generally things will be okay. And I think a big thing, the reason why I want to say this is maybe even for myself too, because I think like people, especially younger people who are coming into like starting their life, like I'm right now doing all the things I do, being like, I want to build something over the course of my life, right? Whether that be artistically, whether that be fulfillment wise, whatever it may be. I think a lot of us are in this position. Looking at the age demographics of my channel, anybody from 18 to 28 is like in that stage, right? I think with that comes like a lot of doubt right now of like, I don't even know what anything's gonna look like in 5 years. A year ago, AI wasn't here. Now this is the biggest thing in my life. And now like my job's gonna get taken by it, which is a very scary, realistic scenario. I think that the idea to not plan for something long-term is probably bad, because I do think we're all still gonna be here. I think things are gonna be medium normal. I think though, the only way that things get medium normal and then get a lot better is if people like you and me who are in this stage of their lives where it's like things are crazy right now, is the world about to end, focus on building something that is good, not something that is bad. Focus on having a net good impact. It can be small and it can be dumb. I personally, the reason I do this show the way I do it is because I think it's a net good impact. I think the internet's too crazy and I want something that's small and quiet, even if only 500 people ever watch it. I think that's net good, right? Hopefully, in 5 years, my net good can be even bigger as I develop more skills, as I get older, as I get better at the internet or AI or whatever that ends up being, right? I think that's what we all need to do because I think the future probably won't be as crazy as we think it's going to be, and we should all plan to try and make the craziness a little bit less crazy and the good a little better and the bad a little bit less bad. That's my take. What's yours? I'd love to hear it. This is the painting. I finished it too fast, and I was going to just keep adding, but then I was like, no, I'm not going to do that, so I just talked for the last minute of this. I love these colors still, though. I think I want this to be even thinner, though. I think that could be neat. Anyways, go check this out over the Instagram. Go check this out over on the Instagram. It'll be up later this week. And until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This has been Paint Talk episode 185, and I'm here every morning painting and talking with you all.